G'day folks, Connor here from CW's Tech Reviews, back with another video, and today we're doing my full review of the Realme X3 SuperZoom. Coming in as one of my favourite devices of the year so far. I just love it, and I'm going to cover every reason why I love this device. Now, before I get started, links down below if you do want to pick one up, links to the Realme website, and have used the promo code CW, you get 5% off any purchase store-wide, valid for about 3 weeks from the date this video goes live. Again, promo code CW on the Realme website, links down below. Now, I always start off my reviews with the specs. I'm going to keep it brief. Snapdragon 855 Plus, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. 120 Hz refresh rate on the display. It has six lenses. 6 lenses on the camera. I mean, this has got it all going for it. Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, glass on the back, and I have to say this is one of the best backs on any phone I've seen in a long time. 30 watt dart charging. It also comes with Bluetooth version 5.0 and NFC, so you can do your Google Pay whenever and wherever you need to. Realme has not scrimped on any part of this device, they have included everything. This is the Arctic white color. There is also Glacier blue, but for me, the white is the bee's knees or the duck's nuts, whatever you want to call it. I love the white color. And firstly, I want to cover off on the build and design of the Realme X3 SuperZoom. Like I said, it's 6.6 inches, Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, glass on the back that's been precision machined so you cannot get fingerprints on it. I mean, they might show up briefly, but they're gone as quick as they got there. It's not like one of these glass phones that just gets covered in muck and looks disgusting. This one looks amazing. Now, it only has 399 ppi, I think, on the display, but it is 20:9 aspect ratio, and it has that 120 Hz refresh rate. This display, in kind lighting, is amazing. The sides are made of plastic, and look, that's not a biggie for me, whether they're steel or plastic or aluminum. This looks good. It doesn't look cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It is a beefy display. Everything about it is awesome. I just love it. A couple of things I would change if I could. One would be where the fingerprint scanner is. It is on the side there. It's not conventional. It could be on the back. On the back is where they belong. But however, this one is where it is, and it works fast, and I didn't have any problems with it. However, face unlock works super quick, so by the time you've got it up to look at it, it's unlocked either by your finger or your face, and it is blazing fast. So I think it's safe to say I love the build and design. Now I'm going to move straight into the performance. How can you whinge about a phone that has 12 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 855 Plus, 256 gigabytes of storage, Adreno 640. It's also running an octa-core, and we're hitting up with Android 10 and Realme UI version 1.0. Performance is zero problems whatsoever. I did not have any hiccups whether I was playing PUBG, Leo's Fortune, Asphalt 9, watching media, scrolling through web pages, scrolling through apps like Facebook and Instagram, everything loaded quickly, no performance issues. And this has liquid cooling. For $799 you get liquid cooling. Now that's $799 Aussie dollars. All the other flagships are coming in at $1,500 to $2,000. You're coming in at $799 here for the same specs. I put PUBG on the highest settings and it was smooth as butter. No glitches, no missed frame rates, no issues whatsoever. That 120 Hz refresh rate makes everything seem fast as well. It's just everything moving at 100 miles an hour, no glitches. And when I'm watching content on my display, I mean, it was like cinematic, cinema quality. I just loved it. Everything was clear and everything was crisp and everything looked legit. Now, talking about the software, I mean, Android 10, Realme UI version 1.0. I just had to adjust a little bit to Realme UI software because I come from stock Android. I mean, I'm running a Pixel phone normally. Making the adjustment was not difficult. The software, the applications that come on board, everything worked well. There was no glitches, everything was straightforward, and I wasn't left scratching my head thinking, oh, how do I do this? Which is the problem that most people would face when they switch phones, but not with the Realme X3 SuperZoom. I knew what I was doing. It's very close to Android. It's got that Android feel to it. You know where things are, and you know how to use them. All the gestures that come in the phone, I mean, they're there. It's a phone of the future, and it's really easy to use, really easy to operate. Swiping here, swiping there, gestures, gestures, gestures. It's got it. One thing I do love, and I did make note of, is that there was no real glitches in the software. It wasn't like problem with the camera or problem with the settings or problem with the launcher. Everything worked well, and it was super fast because of all the hardware that was driving it. Realme X3 SuperZoom running Realme UI version 1.0. Happy days. Right, now I'm going to talk about the cameras, because there's 6 lenses on this phone, and every single one of them serves a purpose. And I'm going to be honest about the cameras here. I'm not going to fluff it. Some parts of them are amazing and some parts need some improvement. But that's a reflection on today's technology rather than on the phone itself. You get a 64 megapixel prime lens. That's used for taking your just general pictures out of the rear of the camera, and it takes a really nice photo. And you can see that by these shots I'm taking here. And that 64 megapixel lens comes in with an F1.8 aperture, which is pretty sharp. That's a lot of light coming in, and that should give you some bokeh effect in the background. Then you have your 8 megapixel periscope lens, and this is the one that can take you to 60 times zoom. Now you've got 5 times optical zoom, and then the rest of the zoom range is digital. And that lens is coming in at f3.4 aperture. So this is more the convenience of being able to shoot further away with the same phone. Now I shoot with a DSLR and I've got interchangeable lenses, and that's a lot of stuff to carry around. A lot of people aren't interested in that. They just want a phone that can do everything. The periscope lens on this is punching above its weight, and I'd say it's up there with your Samsung S20s. Now I've tried the S20, I've reviewed it, and I'd have to say the 60 times zoom on this is better. Now we're moving into the ultra-wide angle lens. This is an 8 megapixel lens as well, and it's coming in at f2.3 aperture. But the main thing is that it opens right up. You got super wide angle. You can fit 20 people into your frame on this wide angle lens. It's definitely got its purpose. Great for vlogging. So this is ultra wide angle on the rear facing camera of the Realme X3 SuperZoom, 1080p 30 frames per second. No 4K in the ultra wide, but you don't really need it for this sort of video. I think you're going to be really happy with the 1080p. What do you think? Comments down below. And this is the 4K 60 for vlogging. I think it's a pretty good image. It's 4K, 60 frames per second. Can slow it down if you want to. What do you think? Comments down below. And you can see through some of these videos that the vlogging capabilities of this phone are amazing. 4K 60 frames per second on the rear facing cameras. I was really impressed with that. Now, one area where I'd say we need the most improvement is the macro lens. This is a 2 megapixel macro lens with an aperture of f2.4. And with this lens, you have to be within 4 centimeters of your subject. Now, it does work. It is definitely a macro lens, but it's debatable whether you could use a 64 megapixel lens and then just zoom in, or whether you actually get a better photo with the macro lens. Either or, you can use a 64 megapixel or the macro. And this is what I mean. This is the technology level for a smartphone at the moment. It's not a reflection of the phone itself. It's just where we're at with macro lenses. And I've heard the same feedback from many devices when it comes to the macro lens. But I like it. I enjoyed it. It's an extra feature that you can use. So it's like an extra tool in the kit. And just check out this little sequence. This is me going out to do some night photography with the Realme X3 SuperZoom. Alright guys, we're off tonight to do some astrophotography with the Realme X3 SuperZoom. It's going to be a bit of fun, we're going to test it out. So we just realised that the moon is like, it's the most fullest moon ever, but we're still going to go and do some astrophotography. Okay, now we do have night mode on the Realme X3 SuperZoom, but we also have Pro mode where we can go in and fully play with the settings to get the shot that we want. So I'm playing around with the settings a little bit just to try and get the best shot I can. And the image is not too bad. I'm not too fussed with it at all. So not a bad image. I'm going to play around with it a bit more, but I think this is a good phone for night photography as long as you have a tripod. Look, I got to say guys, on the Realme X3 SuperZoom, you can get a pretty good astrophotography shot for a phone. Now it's not DSLR like images, it's phone images, and you've got to remember that. But I'm pretty impressed with the quality of the photo from a smartphone. Realme have done well with this setup. Alright, so we're on our way back from the astrophotography trip, and I'd have to say it was a success. And here's a comparison photo as well that I took with a DSLR. I only took the one photo on the DSLR, so I didn't really set myself up. Anyway, back to the rest of the review. And I just got to point out that the image stabilization in the video is absolutely ridgy-dig as well. I was really impressed with the stability. I was also using at times a DJI Osmo Mobile 3, which has some great features and is great for vlogging, and I own it, so I use it. But I actually didn't need to use it with the Realme X3 SuperZoom because it's got some really good built-in stabilization on that rear camera. I mean, we're still talking cameras now. We're going into the front-facing camera. Now, do I look like a selfie dude? Well, maybe I could be with the Realme X3 SuperZoom because it's actually quite good. You've got two lenses here. One is a 32 megapixel f2.5 aperture lens, and that's pretty wide for a front-facing camera. And the other one is an 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle camera as well. And the ultra-wide front-facing camera is coming in at f2.2 aperture. And yes, it's wide. You can get plenty in, you can vlog with it, you can get selfies in with it, you can put it on a selfie stick and get even wider with it, and you get a lot of features as well. So within the camera, you get your portrait mode, you've got bokeh mode, you've got panorama. You've also got time-lapse, slow-mo, and pro mode, and I did enjoy using the pro mode, night pro mode, when I was out doing that nighttime photography. So you just have so much in this camera, in this phone. It's one of those where you just think, what more can you get for this price? I mean, it's just up there with the high-end phones at half their price. Now, some of you might be saying 120 hertz, 12 gigs of RAM, 8 cameras, gaming, that battery must be really poor. Well, I've got news for you. The battery is incredible. It actually lasted 2 days generally for me. Unless I was doing a lot of video and a lot of photography, then I was getting about a day and a half. But I never once ran out of battery before the end of the day. And you can see from these battery stats, I mean, it just killed it. Didn't matter what I did, the battery just went on and on and on. I couldn't kill it. And I'm a pretty heavy phone user. Even though I try to limit my phone use throughout the day, I'm checking notifications all day. I'm watching YouTube, Amazon Prime, Netflix. I'm watching lots of content at night. I don't watch TV at night time, so if I do watch content, it's on the phone. And if I'm gaming, it's on the phone. And I do a lot of photography and video work, and it's all on the phone, and I could not kill the battery. And for those of you that think, hey, I'll kill the battery, I use my phone more than anyone. Well, that's where the dart charging comes in. 30-watt dart charging. Charges it so fast. I mean, you plug it in, you go do something for half an hour, you come back, and your phone is topped right up back around 75%. And you're off, you're good to go for the rest of the night. But like I said, I didn't need to do that. I was getting 2 days of use out of it most times, day and a half on a really heavy use day. So my conclusion. Now, where do you go with a conclusion where you're really happy with that device? For some of you, it's going to come down to knowing the brand. For some of you, you're ready to take that leap away from your high-end phones like Apple and Samsung and whatnot. And if you're in that category, then I seriously challenge you to consider the Realme X3 SuperZoom for all its specs, for all its capabilities, for its performance, its camera, for everything. It's definitely got to be in your basket of considerations. My conclusion is that it's an amazing phone. You won't go wrong if you do pick it up. Unfortunately for me, I got to send it back to Realme. I've loved using it, but it's time for it to go back. Hit me up if you've got any questions. I'm in the comments down below. I'd love to know anything you want to know about the phone. I will answer the questions for you. Don't forget, we've got the promo link down below to help us all out. Get a bit of a discount. The promo code is CW. Thank you for watching. I will catch you all in the next video. Check it!